Hi, and welcome to the special edition recording of Tarot Insights. This one is to talk about the energy of the hangman and how that influences 2019. Now, why would the hangman be associated with 2019? Well, when you add 2 plus 0 plus 1 plus 9, it equals 12. 12 is the tarot card associated with 2019. In tarot numerology, we don't just ignore the nines. In traditional numerology, this would be a 3-year, which would be the Empress, but we're using tarot numerology. So we're going to talk about how the hangman influences us in 2019. Let me do a screen share so you can see what the hangman looks like. Hopefully you can see that. We have more than we need in our screen share. Let's take that down. There we go. So the hangman is normally pictured as a person hanging upside down from a tau-shaped cross. The tau-shaped cross is this. It's a T cross instead of what you consider as the traditional Christian cross. The tau cross very often represents earthy matters. Hanging upside down here from this tree is sometimes seen as St. Peter. St. Peter was crucified and asked to be hung upside down on the cross out of humility and not wanting to be associated with the high vibration of Christ. And so he asked to be upside down. This was kind of a martyr view, and he was crucified as a martyr. And so this card can represent martyrdom. This also, though, is seen as Odin hanging upside down from the tree. And with Odin, he agreed to suspend his life for a year to hang upside down on a tree to gain wisdom. He also gave one of his eyes so he could see inwardly instead of only seeing outwardly. But you'll notice that in this hangman, the hair is blonde here, but often it's seen as white, and that represents wisdom. But there's also a halo of golden energy, which represents a high spiritual being. Now, another view of this is that this is the giant in Jack and the Beanstalk, who ended up hanging from the beanstalk and dying from chasing the goose, chasing money, chasing materialism. He was not able to see well. The giant. His hearing was okay, but his sight was not. And that's how come he would smell or hear Jack. His sense of smell was fine, but he was not able to see. And that's a sign of that when we chase materialism, we're not seeing clearly. So we have this idea of spirituality through Odin and St. Peter, but we also have wanting to escape reality, and that's a little bit of Jack going up the beanstalk. He wanted adventure. He wanted to escape reality. This card is also a sign of when we put our life on hold, whether it is through spiritual growth, martyrdom, or addictions, dependency, and codependency. Very often, especially us that are empathic, want to help others, and we end up putting our life on hold in order to keep others from feeling pain, and that's considered codependency. There's a wonderful definition of codependency. I'm going to stop sharing screen right now so I can pull this up without it coming up. But there's a wonderful definition of codependency as a dysfunctional helping relationship where one person supports or enables another person's addictions, poor mental health, immaturity, irresponsibility, or underachievement. In other words, when we are helping others, not necessarily because they can't do it, but because they won't do it, or they aren't putting out the effort. So anyway, that's another way that the hangman is represented. So with all of these different meanings, what does this mean really for 2019? Well, as we said, the hangman looks to suspend his view of reality by escaping either through martyrdom, addiction, dependency, or codependency, or he escapes by creating a new reality by gaining knowledge and gaining spiritual heights. So there's this idea that we can get high. The hangman wants to get high, but we can get high through addictions and such, and taking care of others and not having to live our own life and escape that way, or we can get high through learning and spiritual development. So this creates this multifaceted energy for 2019. So how can we see this what would my predictions then be based on that? Well, if we find that we are running on the lower vibration, in other words, we are given the opportunity for this higher vibration, but we don't take it. And because there's definitely an opportunity for spiritual growth in 2019, but let's say we don't take it, we're going the lower vibration through martyrdom, addictions, dependency, and codependency, then you may find you end up martyring yourself for someone else or for a cause that isn't giving back, that isn't utilizing your help, or is utilizing your help so much that it's not taking responsibility for itself. So you may find yourself drawn to martyr yourself for a cause or a person. But I can almost guarantee that if you're experiencing dysfunctional energy, this is the year where it's going to be brought to the light, and you're going to have two choices: either change or, go down the drain further. You may find that you're trying to live a normal life, but this year, if you have dependency, codependency issues, that normal just goes out the window. And that's going to be a sign that you went south instead of north. We want to go and raise our vibration by getting help, right? Either by getting help for the person that you're being codependent with, so that you are not that go-to person, or you get help for that codependent person in a way that makes them not need you, but stand up on their own. Or if you're the one with the dependency issue, many of us suffer from, I have a very addictive personality. And so I have suffered from all addictions. The one I have left is food, because you can't get rid of food cold turkey out of your life. So I may find that for me, in this sense, with this food addiction, that it really comes to a head, and I either have to buckle down or lose total control. But it's my choice. I will have a choice this year. What you may also find is that you may feel depressed in 2019, but it's not really depression. It's this energy of the hangman that forces you to look at what is not working in your life. And so you may say, oh gosh, I'm only focusing on the negative. Well, that's exactly what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be focusing on what needs to leave, what is no longer serving your highest and most loving good. Now, how would this energy, this lower vibration, maybe affect us globally? Well, you may find more martyrdom things happening. You may find more suicide bombings and things like that. You may find people really giving themselves 100% to a cause, which could be great, but then you may find an uptick in divorces and things like that, because they're giving everything they have to their cause and not enough to their life. On a positive note, I could see this as making a real change in getting help for people that are addicted, especially in the opioid crisis. But I believe it would be because people are looking, that are in charge of making change, at the cost through hospital visits, clinics, the emotional and financial cost. And so although it's maybe for not the right reasons, I do feel very hopeful and positive about getting some help for people that are addicted. Now, the majority of us are going to take the high road. That's what I would hope. And so let's talk about this higher vibration of the hangman, which is so fabulous for this time of year. For this type of thing, this is what I think is going to happen personally to us, those of us on the spiritual journey. And this is a year you're probably going to want to move further away from people that are not vibrating at a rate that you relate to. You may feel less patient with surface conversations, people that aren't deep. And you may find that you just withdraw more from society, but in order to observe and study. So this isn't withdraw to lick our wounds or to, whatever. This is to withdraw to observe, to see what's really going on. Krishnamurti talks about a stage in spiritual growth where we observe reality as it is, not as we want it to be. And this is going to happen whether you're in the lower vibration of addictions and codependency, or the higher vibrations of spiritual study and growth. You're going to take time to observe, and you're going to be forced to see reality as it is. No more rose-colored glasses this year. You may decide to study. You may decide to take a class or a workshop, but it's not going to be surface. It's not going to be something where you're just looking to get more information. This is going to be much deeper. It's like, how can I use this information? You may find that you start more spiritual study and prayer, meditation, to take on a spiritual discipline. Be careful not to martyr yourself this year for knowledge or spiritual studies. We're out of the Piscean age. Martyrdom is not appropriate or helpful in the Aquarian age. It's a time to find a way to be of service, to learn what you need to do while still existing in this world. This is going to be a real test of not escaping, to being in the world. Expect to have strong spiritual experiences if you put the time in. This is an amazing time. Any soul searching will pay off 10 times, although you may find a pulling back because the hangman is not a time of action. Remember, you've suspended your life. You've put things on hold, but you may feel like it, the tension of pulling back an arrow. Now, don't focus on the tension, focus on where you're aiming, right? You want to focus on where you're aiming that arrow, because if you're only focused on the tension, when this year ends, you'll just let it go and you won't know where you've aimed, right? So if we focus on the tension that's caused through this time of inaction and suspension, we're focusing on the wrong thing. Right? We want to focus on where do we want to aim? Where do we want to end up mid-2020? So enjoy this time of inner world introspection, learning, watching, and growing. But how is this going to affect us globally? This is the thing. The hangman often works behind the scenes, and it's a time of inaction. And so you may not see a lot of results this year. That's more likely to come through next year. I'm going to say God willing. I wrote a blog on this and the explanation of why I'm a little pessimistic. In my usual optimistic nature, I'm a little pessimistic because of what's going on in 2020. But if you want, go to my WordPress, my blog, or to my Facebook page. I posted the blog about that. But I think that what you'll see is subtle influences. Like in television, you may see them talking about chakras more, or talking about spiritual subjects. We saw meditation on the cover of I think it was Time magazine. I forget which magazine. You're going to see more of that. You're going to see more green projects proposed, but they may not actually be funded or go through until 2020. And education should be starting to come up in conversation about being more of a priority. But again, this is inner growth. This is not outer world stuff. And so you may not see a lot on the world stage. But in conclusion, 2019's potential is definitely twofold. It's extremely powerful either way. If you're choosing the martyrdom, addictions, codependency, it is going to be a very difficult year. And there's no way I can sugarcoat that. But the hangman suspends his reality in order to create change. And so every opportunity is going to be given to you to change. If you don't change, though, and you complain and find, oh my God, this has been the most miserable year, you may want to look at what change has the hangman recommended to you that you haven't taken. So on one hand, while the masses are getting a taste of spiritual energy and higher wisdom, those that can't deal with it or cannot make the shift in order to enjoy it are going to struggle. But you have the power to make the difference. You can start seeing life as it really is, not how you want it to be. Start taking a check on your vibration. Am I choosing the high road or the low road? Am I looking to escape reality? And if I am going to escape reality, are you escaping a reality that no longer fits who you are today and creating a new reality through spiritual growth and wisdom? That's great. Let's not escape reality through drugs, alcohol, gambling, and such, or taking care of everybody else. That's a way of escaping reality. Okay, so we can do that. If we're brave enough to see the real world as it is, we can then insert ourselves into the real world at our higher vibration. We can accelerate and assist the global growth. We just need to be aware of our focus. We want to empower, not enable others, and be the growth you want to see in this world. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this look into the world in 2019. I personally, I'm a little pessimistic about seeing change on the outer world. I am entirely enthusiastic, excited, and in expectation of the changes that we in the spiritual community make in our inner world. The Hangman year, it's amazing opportunity. And I hope to see you in 2020 enjoying the shifts and changes that came about in 2019. Thanks so much.